Morning everybody. As you were just saying, just fed out some grain to the sheep. So we had that grain just sitting in that feed cart that we just wanted to get rid of. It's been sitting there for a while and there was a bit of rotten stuff in there too, so I had a fun time unblocking it while I was trying to feed them. Yeah, we just wanted to get rid of that grain because we've taken some hay out of the little shed where that sits. We want to make some room for this Boomspray, and also those bags of feed for the cattle which we put in there. So today I'm just going to do a little bit of work on the Boomspray. We sort of want to get it up to the point where we can run it. So we're going to try to do a few repairs and a bit of maintenance stuff just so that it's all ready to rock and roll when we go to start spraying. So I'm going to do just a few of the little jobs on it. Dad's going to do some welding on it later. So we managed to get this frame back onto there. That's broken off, but it's like a bit of square bar. We've got it back on. Dad's going to clean that up and weld it up later and put a washer on the other side so it can't fall apart. Don't know if he'll weld any grease nipples onto these hinges so they're greasable, but that's like the main sort of welding stuff that's got to be done. So what I'm going to do, going to pull all the nozzles and filters apart on all the nozzles or jets or whatever you call them. Put them in a bucket with a heap of water and let them soak. We pulled a couple apart and the filters are just blocked up with like heaps of dirt, so obviously they ain't going to work if they're blocked. I'll pull them out, chuck them in a bucket with a heap of water, let them soak, and then either I'll clean them up later on or clean them up next week, or Dad will clean them up. I'll pull the main filters out of those white tubes there, see what sort of condition they're in, I guess, and give them a clean too. Going to cut that cruddy old toolbox off and we'll put our big plastic one on there. Don't know if we'll do that to put it on today, but we'll get that one off at least. We're not going to replace the bearings in those pulleys like I said. We just want to get this sort up and running, and then we'll replace them after we're done with it this year. We just want to get it all working and actually work out what more needs to be done when we start to actually use it. Yeah, and I'll tighten up this A-frame and just a bit of general tidying up on it, and yeah, oil these chains, and we'll go from there. But first things first, get these nozzles and filters out. Alright, so we're looking at the little jet or nozzle. I'm not exactly sure what you call it, but that's what I'm going with. But it's pretty easy. There's just a little nut type thing that screws off, and you can see how dirty that gauze filter is. That's like, yeah, little gauze filter there, and that's just full of dirt and debris, bit of rust. So we'll pull all them off and give them a soaking in some water, and hopefully that'll unblock them. That little filter comes out, so that will all hopefully clean up. And then you can undo this top part here, and if that is blocked, if the whole bottom of it's blocked, then you can blast air or water through there to clear it all. But yeah, we'll see what sort of condition they're in when I pull them all off, and if I need to clean them. Oh well, we do have these ends here you can jam a hose on and blast water, so maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll get a hose and blast a heap of water through them and see if they all run clean. So yeah, I'll get a bucket and we'll take all these off. Rightio, took all the nozzles and filters off. As you can see, they're pretty dirty. A lot of yeah, rust and dirt and crap in there. So I'll fill this bucket up with water and they can just soak, and we'll clean them out later. Right, they're in a bucket full of water. Yeah, that should hopefully loosen up any dirt and stuff on the filters and in the little jets, I guess. And then, yeah, I don't know, either Dad or I'll clean them out later on. Or maybe Dad will do it during the week or something. We'll let them soak, and we'll worry about them later. So might pull those big filters out now and just see what sort of condition they're in, and we'll give them a bit of a blast with the hose as well and see what they come up like. So here's the two big filters here. So from what we can work out, this one filters your water when you are filling it into the tank, and then this one is filtering it before it goes into the pump and out to the nozzles. So we'll pull both of them out and see what condition they're in. Got a special spanner here for him that we found in the rusty old toolbox. Hopefully I can get it undone. Maybe not. There we go. Wow, there is a lot of dirt and stuff in there. That doesn't look very good. I might run the garden hose over here and we can clean it out here instead of dragging all that crap out. So, back in a minute. I wussed out and went and got some chemical gloves. I could just smell so much chemical, so I didn't really want to get covered in it. I'll pull this stuff out. Garden hose wasn't going to reach, so we'll have to put it in a bucket and clean it. So here's one of the big gauze filters, bit of stuff in there. Probably really need to get the hose and squirt it into the filters, the tubes, but it won't reach. This one's a little bit different of a setup by the looks of it. But nevertheless, still a lot of stuff in there. And I'm not exactly sure how this filter comes out. When I got a pair of pliers, and then this one just pulls out like that. I think it's not in very good condition, it seems to be broken. So we might need a new one. But it only filters the clean water, so I don't know. I'll talk to Dad and see what he reckons. So yeah, as I said when we first got this Boomspray, I've got no real experience with Boomsprays at all. We pulled ours apart years ago to turn into a water cart, and yeah, and then I guess Dad's got the experience from back in the day, which isn't modern techniques, I suppose, but he knows more about this stuff than I do, so I'm sort of just making it up as I go along and just checking the obvious things to me and what he's told me to check. So don't take my word as gospel, basically is what I'm saying. Anyway, we'll take these filters over and fill it up with water and give them a clean. Found a brush in that old toolbox, so we'll give them a brush with that, I guess. Clean them up and see if Dad reckons chuck them in, or yeah, but we'll go from there. All right, so I gave all that stuff a wash. This filter here, it is buggered. Like, we found there, pulled the two ends out of the housing. That other one's okay. There's a bit of stuff on the inside on the fine gauze stuff, so it probably does need a filter change. I've cleaned it as best as I can, but there's still a bit of stuff in there. I showed Dad and he's like, yeah, we'll just replace them. So he's gonna try and source a couple, and I'll jump on Google and see if I can find something too. And we'll just chuck two new ones in there. So I'll leave them out for the time being, and I'll just put the bungs back in the housings. And when we get the new ones, we'll give them a proper flush out and yeah, make sure that they're okay. So we do have one good filter, I guess, which will go back where it came from to filter the chemical before it goes into the nozzles, which I guess is probably where you want to filter it the most. The other one's just to filter the fresh water coming into the tank when you fill it up. So I guess it's not as critical, but we still would prefer to have two there, just so we make sure we haven't got rubbish going into the nozzles. And it's probably why they're so badly blocked up as well, because these filters were so dirty. So yeah, I'll put those bungs back in and then we'll move on to something else. Right, now next thing I'm going to do is cut this cruddy old tin box off. So I'll get the grinder out and I'll cut it off, and then I don't know how Dad wants to mount up his new toolbox, but I'll leave that for him because he'll probably want to mount it up in a specific way. Rightio, got the old toolbox off. GoPro died as usual while I was doing it. I hate GoPros. You hear a lot of mooing in the background. Mum and Dad have got cattle over there. They're doing some work on them. We'll work with them. I think they've got the calves are in for their drench and their second vaccination. But we'll go over there in a bit and we'll get an update off Mum for those people who are interested. So, chuck that in the scrap and pack this lead and grinder back up, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Next thing I'm doing is applying a little bit of oil to these chains. They don't look like they've had much oil in a while, so Dad said to give them a bit of a lube up. That'll stop them seizing up and rusting, I guess, while they're out in the weather for the time being. We have cleared a spot in the shed where this is going to go, but it's just not ready to put it in there just yet. Alright, so yeah, oiled that those chains, and then I pulled off the old hoses for the probe, which sucks your chemical out of your drums and then feeds it into the tank. I also had to pull this little bung off here, which was for the garden hose that was on there that connects up to this probe end. It's for flushing out the drums with fresh water. It hooks up to the fresh water side. So we got rid of that. We've got some new hose over here on the ground that we're going to rig up because it was so cracked and broken. It was sort of just like, this is the old garden hose I cut off. It's just like brittle as anything, and yeah, no good to anybody. Yeah, so we've got new hose there on the ground. Don't know if I'll rig that up now, but yeah, I've got those filters all soaking and whatever. So Dad's, we're just talking to Dad then. He's going to take a couple of those little gauze filters out of the jets with him too. He's going to go to some shop he reckons might have these filters. Because there was a couple missing on the booms. So we'll have to get some new gauze filters for them as well. Rightio, so I just finished up making this new hose for the probe. Dad put a 90-degree bend on this one, so it did come out straight before, and that's why the hose had like bent and was all kinked and busted and wasn't very good. So we put this 90-degree bend on it so we can wrap the hose around like so. Put the spring back on this one so it doesn't create too sharp of a bend, and that's all hooked up and ready to go. So just got to put the garden hose back on, or get a new bit of garden hose and run it the same length as this hose, and then that screws up into the bottom of the water feed. And the way it works is you're filling up, you're pumping your water into this filter housing here, goes in through here, and then comes to this T-piece where the hose is for your probe for the chemical, and goes into your tank. So while you're pumping water in through there, you have your probe, put it in your drum of chemical, turn it on, and the pressure, the suction of the water going through will suck the chemical into your tank. Then your garden hose goes in here where the fresh water is coming in, and comes straight into your gun, so that you can then turn on your tap on the garden hose, fill up your chemical drum with fresh water, and then shut it off, and then open this back up, and that'll suck all that water and chemical through, so you don't waste any of your chemicals. So it gets all flushed, and yeah. Rightio, so the last thing we're going to do today that is involving the Boomspray, the other stuff was going to wait. Dad will do that welding either tomorrow or later on this week. All the filters and stuff are going to soak. I know I've said it like 4 times now. So the other stuff will just wait. Anyway, we are in the woolshed. We're going to try and start this old, not that old, the old Honda water pump up. So this is what we'll use to supply water to the Boomspray to fill it up. When we go out the back, we've got the big water tank out the back. This will have a hose that we can put straight onto a fitting on the tank. And then, because it's only gravity in that tank, it'll take ages to fill the Boomspray up. So it's easier to have a pump on there to suck the water out and spit it into the Boomspray. So we're just going to make sure it starts. I've checked there's fuel in it. There's oil in the case still. Hopefully it starts. This thing is definitely due for a service. I don't think we've ever serviced it. But we'll try and fire it up. If she fires up, then she'll be good enough for what we're going to do. God damn it. I hate it when things just don't start. First pull. Ugh. I think this is the one that needed the new filter from ages ago. When I serviced that other, or didn't service, got that other water pump going, and I said Dad said there was rats that chewed the filter on this one. They definitely chewed it, alright. She's falling apart. So we'll have to chuck a new filter on it at least anyway.
You want to leave your choke on the opening throttle right, give him a squirt. Back him off slowly the choke.
Oh yeah.
So give him more speed. Probably want a little bit of choke.
There you go, it just needed Dad's guiding hand. Hasn't been run since, I think it hasn't been run since we sprayed last year when Jamie was here spraying for us. When we filled his Boomspray up. So, probably hasn't been run, yeah, almost a year. So that's probably why she's a little bit hard to start, but whack a new filter on. Genuine Honda, surprisingly. Dad found it somewhere. We didn't have to use our Chonda supply ones. But she's running, so that's a good thing. Little sniffer aero didn't go astray either. This stuff's the best. Also, is it just me, but I really love the smell of Aerostart as well. I don't know why, it just has a good smell. Alright, just come over to the cattle yards here. Mum and Dad are doing some cattle work. Just going to give you over to Mum. She's going to give a brief update on what she's up to here at the moment and what's been happening with the cows.
Yeah, hi. We've just got the cows and calves in because we were doing the second vaccination on the calves. We've done the AI girls calves already. We've AI'd the AI cows, and 2 of them come back into season again yesterday, so the technician came out and redid them. These ones have got the bull in with them, but we're taking the bull out today, so they will go, the cows will go back into another paddock and the bull will go back in the paddock with his friend, the Frisian steer. Yeah, been pretty wet winter, it's been a bit hard on them. Not a lot you can do about that except just feed them and feed them. Yeah, but it's all, I don't know, it's all good I suppose, plodding along. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, so for users that don't know what AI is, it's artificial insemination. I'll put a link up to the video made a couple of years ago now, I think. when we had the AI guy out here and we actually went through the process and how it's done. I'll put a card up if you're interested in that. But yeah, Mum and Dad are just going to keep... What are you doing? Yeah, you said you were doing second vaccination on the calves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'd finish that off and then put the cows back out. Alrighty, well, that's me done for the day, I think. Got a little bit done on that Boomspray. Would have liked to have got a little bit more, but we were busy this morning. We sold a little calf crush we had sitting in front of the wool shed that you may have seen in some videos. We had a fella come and pick that up. It was good to get rid of that. Yeah, good to feed out all that grain to the sheep. The feed car's now empty and has no rotting grain in it, so that's a good thing. Yeah, as I said, good to make a little bit of a start on that Boomspray. I just moved it out of the way of the shed because cattle are in there and Dad wants to put the tractor back in the shed. So Dad will do that welding at some point. And we'll do a few other repairs, try and rustle up a couple of filters, clean all those other filters, put it all back together, and hopefully we're right to use it at spraying time, which I don't think is too far away. But yeah, just another quiet-ish sort of week, or weekend is on the farm. There's not too much more happening. They're just running those cattle out to their paddock now, and then the bull will go back out to his mate Microdot, the steer, and all will be good on the farm. So yeah, we'll wrap the video up. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch us in the next one. All right.